Hello, I'm Jonathan Pierce with Pierce Performance, and for this week's performance tip, we're going to talk about ways that you can stretch or help your hip flexor. I recently got off a cross-country flight and I realized how tight I was from sitting and how tight my back was and just the overwhelming feeling of like soreness and tightness. A lot of times when we are in this position, if we're seated at a desk all day or spend a lot of time on planes or cars, we're going to get tightness in the hip flexor, and you need to spend some time addressing that before you do other activities or run or weight train or cycle, whatever you like to do. So we'll talk about how to address that in just a second. I'll walk you through the position and the stretch. I see people doing the hip flexor stretches that are commonly seen on the internet wrong very often in my office, and so I want to avoid creating more compression or pinching in your low back when you do the stretch, because I think a lot of people do themselves a disservice doing it that way. So typically what I see when people stretch their hip flexors, they do something like this. They do a lunge and then they arch their back like this and reach up. Now that is problematic because now you're arching your back a lot more and you're just getting stretched down low in the hip flexor. The hip flexor actually starts on thoracic 12 and inserts on the front of the lumbar spine. It runs down through the hip, through the pelvis, and then goes to the front of your well, actually into your groin. So we want to make sure if we're going to do the hip flexor stretch, we're getting the whole chain. So to do my version, we're going to keep our spine neutral. We're not going to arch our spine back. Okay, so to set up the stretch, you're going to kneel on the floor. You're going to have your hip right over your knee, so you're in a straight line through your torso to your knee, and then you're going to walk your foot out to the side, so I'm moving my right leg out, and then forward, and then I'm going to lunge in, leaning this direction. And so now I've been able to set it up so that my spine is neutral. I'm not tipped back. I'm neutral. I lunge forward, then I'm going to take my arm and reach up overhead in a straight line, and I'm reaching tall, pressing away, pressing my knee into the floor and squeezing my glute. Hold this stretch and then slowly come out. So by pushing hard with the heel of my hand away and by keeping everything in line as I lunge and then contracting the glute, that's how we can maximize the stretch and protect our spine all in one go. This stretch can be done on both sides for 20 to 30 seconds at a go, and you can do 3 or 4 sets. Usually if I get off of the plane, and I do this immediately when I get to the hotel or to my house, I'll wake up the next day feeling much better for it, and you're usually able to avoid a lot of that stiffness and back pain in the mornings getting up and going about. So that's it for this week's performance tip. Remember, when you're stretching your hip flexor, try not to arch your back. Try to protect that spine and produce a nice even stretch all through the belly of the muscle. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.